The forest of Vorax was silent. It was not the kind of silence that brought peace. It was the kind that made even the bravest alien soldiers stop walking. The trees were tall, black, and sharp. The ground was soft and wet, full of hidden dangers. Strange animals moved without sound. Even light did not stay long here. No alien wanted to enter this place, except for him. He had no armor, no weapons made of plasma or light, no drones to fly above. He walked alone, wearing only rough clothes made from beast leather. His body was strong, lean, and full of old scars. His name was not known. The alien records only called him the human in the Forbidden Forest. No one knew how he got there. Some said he was dropped during a war. Others said he was born in the forest. The truth was lost. But one thing was clear. He survived, and not just survived. He hunted. Aliens from the nearby outposts would sometimes send spy drones to watch him. Most drones never returned. The few that did showed images that shocked the alien leaders. The human built traps with wood and stone. He moved like a shadow. He climbed trees without sound. He killed beasts with handmade spears, knives, or just his bare hands. He did not waste. He ate only what he needed. He left water for small animals. He buried the dead with his hands. It was clear. He was not wild. He was honorable. One day, a young alien huntress named Virella was sent to observe him. She was from the noble house of Tel Nakar, trained in the arts of hunting and war. Her skin was smooth and blue. Her eyes could see in the dark. Her sense of smell could follow a trail for miles. But even she was warned, "Do not go near him. He is dangerous. He is not like us." But Virella was curious. She had hunted beasts across many planets. She thought no one could match her skills, until she saw him. From high in a tree, using special cloaking gear, she watched him walk into a dark clearing. A large beast, 3 times his size, waited in the shadows. Its claws were sharp. Its mouth was full of teeth. It growled low and charged. The human didn't run. He didn't scream. He waited, calmly. Then, at the last second, he moved. Like a blur of motion, he rolled under the beast and stabbed it under the jaw with a bone knife. The creature screamed. Blood sprayed the grass. The human jumped on its back and ended it with a second strike. Then he knelt, breathing hard, hands on. The beast's head. He closed its eyes gently. Virella's heart raced. Her breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything like it. It was beautiful. It was brutal. It was pure. She whispered to herself softly, "A hunter like that deserves to pass on his genes." She didn't even notice that she said it aloud. For the next 3 hours, she stayed in the tree watching as the human skinned the beast, cooked only a small part, and shared the meat with tiny forest creatures. He even set traps around his camp, but not to harm, to warn. This was not the behavior of a wild man. This was a true hunter. As the red moon rose over the trees, Virella tapped her communicator, her voice shaking. "This is Virella. I have seen the human. I want more time. He is not what we think. Do not approach him. I repeat, do not send a team." The voice on the other side was cold. "You are not authorized to change mission orders." Virella cut the signal. She looked back down. The human was staring right at her tree. She froze. He had known she was there. The whole time. He didn't attack. He didn't run. He just looked at her. And then he turned away and vanished into the trees. Like a ghost, like a legend, the sun never rose fully in the forest of Vorax. Instead, a soft red light filtered through the tall black trees. The air was always cool, always wet, and full of strange sounds. Most aliens hated it. But Virella came back. She wasn't supposed to. Her mission was to observe the human once, report back, and return to base. She had already sent a warning to command. But the truth was, she couldn't stop thinking about him, the way he moved, the way he hunted, the way he spared the forest, creatures, and how he knew she was there but didn't harm her. Something inside her had changed. She wasn't sure what it was. Curiosity? Admiration? Something deeper? So, she returned. This time she left her armor behind. No metal, no glowing gear. She wore only soft cloth and a small knife. She painted her blue skin with mud and leaves to hide her scent. She didn't want him to feel hunted. She wanted to watch him quietly. She wanted to understand him. For 2 days, she followed his trail. She didn't sleep much. She ate berries and drank from small springs. It was hard. Her legs hurt. Her arms were scratched. But still, she kept going, and then, finally, she saw him again. He was kneeling beside a stream, washing his hands. His clothes were torn. His hair was messy. But his body looked powerful. Every move he made was calm, careful, and silent. Virella stayed hidden in a bush. Her heart pounded. Why am I feeling this way? She wondered. Suddenly a sound came from the trees above. A creature, small, with 6 legs and sharp wings, dropped from the branches. It aimed straight for the human's back. She didn't think. She just moved. Virella leapt from the bush, pulled her knife, and slashed the flying beast in midair. It fell dead at the human's feet. The human turned fast. Too fast. In one blink, she was on the ground, his knee pressing into her chest, his handmade knife pointed at her throat. His eyes were cold, sharp, wild. But she didn't struggle. She raised her hands slowly. I helped, she whispered, hoping he could understand. His breath was loud, his face close, but slowly. His knife lowered. He stood up and stepped back. He didn't say a word. Virella sat up, breathing hard. She could feel his eyes on her. She pointed to the dead bug creature and nodded. I stopped it, she said. Again, softer. He looked at the bug, then at her, and then, finally, he nodded once. It was a small thing, but to her, it meant everything. That night, she stayed nearby, not too close, but close enough to feel his presence. He made a small fire, with dry moss and stones. She watched him cook a small animal. He cut it into 2 pieces and, surprisingly, placed one on a rock, then stepped back. Virella slowly approached. Her fingers trembled. She took the food. A silent message had passed between them. You helped me, so I share. We are not enemies. She sat across from him, the fire between them. Neither spoke, but their silence was full of meaning. As the red moon rose, casting shadows across their faces, Virella finally asked softly, Who are you? He didn't reply. Maybe he didn't understand. Or maybe he didn't want to answer. But she didn't need words anymore. She could see it in his eyes. He was alone. He had survived, and he trusted no one. Until now. The next morning, she was gone. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't want to scare him away, but she left a small gift behind. A tiny metal compass that always pointed north. She placed it near his sleeping spot along with a drawing. It showed a hunter and a huntress, side by side. Far away, as she walked back toward the alien base, she whispered to herself again, He's more than just a hunter. He's something rare, something precious. And she knew the truth deep. In her heart, she would return, no matter what the council said, no matter the rules, because this was no longer about duty. This was personal. The great city of Tel Nakar floated high above the red clouds. Built on a mountain of crystal and metal, it was home to the noble bloodlines of the alien empire. Inside its glowing halls, 12 council members sat in silence as they watched. A flickering screen. The screen showed a video. A human male, bare-chested, scarred, and silent, striking down a beast twice his size. No armor, no tech, just raw strength. And instinct. One of the counselors leaned forward, his golden eyes wide. He fights like a beast. he whispered. Another said, no. He fights like a god. They had never seen anything like him. For thousands of years, the Empire had searched for strong bloodlines. Every warrior was born from careful breeding, selecting the best fighters, the strongest hunters. But this human, he was not bred. He was wild, untamed, perfect. Then the queen herself entered the chamber. Tall, cold, regal, her voice echoed. Bring him to me. Alive. I will decide who earns the right to mate with him. The order was final. Far below, in the command center of the military fleet, a message was sent across the system. Mission: capture the human male specimen. Status: extremely dangerous. Do not harm. Reward: genetic pairing rights with royal approval. Hundreds of elite soldiers prepared for the mission. Back. In the forest, Virella felt the ground shake. She looked up. Dark clouds moved too fast. Something was wrong. Then she saw it. A black dropship cutting through the sky, heading toward the forest. Her stomach turned cold. They were coming. For him. She ran. She reached the humans' camp just before sunset. But he wasn't there. Only the fire pit remained. Still warm. She searched for signs. Broken branches. Footprints. Nothing. He had vanished again. Her hands shook. She didn't have much time. The soldiers would arrive soon. If they found him, they would trap him, drug him, and take him like an animal. She climbed a tree and waited, and then, movement. She saw him. He moved through the trees like a ghost, a fresh kill slung over his shoulder. When he stepped into the clearing and saw her, his eyes narrowed. She climbed down slowly, hands raised. I came to warn you, she said softly, even though she knew he didn't understand her words. But this time, he didn't raise his weapon. He simply watched. She pointed to the sky, then drew a quick image in the dirt. A ship, soldiers, and chains. Then she pointed at him. They're coming for you. He crouched beside her, drawing, staring. Then he reached into his pouch and pulled out a tiny metal object, her compass. He had kept it. Virella's heart skipped. He remembered me. She moved closer and touched the dirt near the ship, drawing. Then scratched a big X over it. Run, she said. But he stood up slowly and walked back into the trees. Not scared, not running, planning. The black dropship arrived at night. 6 alien hunters stepped out, silent, armed with stun nets and neural hooks. They wore full body armor and night vision visors. They spread out confident. They had hunted beasts across galaxies, but none of them had hunted him. The forest was quiet. Then, snap. A net trap caught one soldier by the leg, pulling him into a tree. He screamed. Another stepped back in shock and fell into a deep pit filled with sharpened sticks. His armor cracked. The team leader shouted, "It's a trap, stay alert!" But it was too late. The human attacked from the shadows, fast, brutal, silent. One by one, the elite team fell. Not killed, just disabled, broken, humiliated. The last soldier lay on the ground, weapon gone. The human stood over him, breathing hard. He looked the soldier in the eyes, then walked away. High in a tree, Virella watched everything. Her hands covered her mouth. She had never seen such skill. This wasn't just survival, this was domination. She whispered to herself again, "No wonder they want his genes." But then she added something new. "They don't deserve them." Rain fell gently through the forest canopy. It wasn't heavy, just a soft, cold mist that clung to everything. The leaves shimmered, the ground turned soft, and small animals hid in silence. Virella sat beside a hollow tree, her body wet, her heart heavy. She had watched him defeat 6 trained soldiers without a sound, without a word. No roars, no anger, only calm, deadly movement. And yet, when she tried to talk to him, he said nothing, not even his name. Still, something in his eyes made Her stay. She stared at the small gift in her hands, a single leather string tied into a hunter's knot. He had left it where she once sat after she warned him. It wasn't much, but it said more than words ever could. That evening she finally found him again. He stood by a fire, drying his wet clothes. His muscular back was covered in scars. Some old, some new, but none of them seemed to slow him down. When he saw her, he didn't react. No smile. No welcome, but he didn't run either. She stepped forward slowly, careful not to startle him. "I'm not here to fight," she whispered. He just stared. She sat near the fire, not too close. Between them, the silence stretched long. She pulled out a small flat stone and a thin stick of coal, then started drawing a picture of her, a picture of him, a picture of the soldiers in chains. Then she drew a question mark. He crouched beside her and looked at the drawings. Then carefully, he pointed to the soldiers, and then drew a circle around them. Then a line from the circle to the sky, she gasped. He understood. "They came from the sky," she said. "You know that." He nodded. Then he picked up a rock, broke it in half, and drew something new. A cave. Inside the cave, a person sat. Above the cave, warships floated. Virella's breath caught. "You were hiding when the war happened?" Didn't reply. But he looked at her again. His eyes didn't shine like hers. They were brown, warm, deep, full of pain. He had lost something, or someone. She placed her hand on her chest and said, "Virella," then pointed to him. "You?" He stayed quiet, but after a moment he pressed a hand to his chest, then picked up a leaf and crushed it between his fingers. Virella didn't understand. Was that his name? Or was it a symbol? Something broken, something lost. Later that night, she prepared a meal with local plants. He watched her closely as if waiting for poison. She took the first bite to show it was safe. Only then did he eat. Their eyes met again across the fire. This time she didn't look away. She pointed to herself, then to him, then tapped her head. "We understand each other, even without words." He didn't respond. But he didn't need to. He smiled. Just a little. But it was real. In the morning, he was gone again. But this time, he left her something. A long wooden stick, carved and polished. On the side, her symbol, the mark of House Tel Nakar, was etched, carefully like he had memorized it. She held it close. That same day, back in the alien city, the Queen received a message. Her soldiers had failed. The human was still free. Her eyes narrowed. "He refuses capture, and yet he lets one of our kind live." She tapped the screen. "Bring the huntress to me." That evening, Virella walked the forest path again, stick in hand, compass in her pocket. Her heart was full of fire. She didn't know his name, his past, or his future, but she knew what she had to do now. She wasn't going to report him. She wasn't going to trap him. She was going to protect him, even if it meant turning against her own kind. A new ship landed. It was larger, louder, heavier. Not sleek like before, this one was a war drop pod, armor-plated, marked with the black fang crest of Unit Varkal, the most feared hunters of the alien empire. They were not sent to observe. They were sent to take. Inside the dark forest, the animals ran. The birds stopped singing. Even the wind held its breath. The human, now known by many simply as the wild ghost, watched from the shadows. He saw the dropship's legs pierce the soil like claws. He counted the armored shapes stepping out. 8. In total. Each held plasma weapons and net launchers. They spoke loudly, without fear. They believed they were the apex predators. They were wrong. Virella felt it too. Far from the landing site, her body tensed. She sat near a spring, eyes shut, ears tuned. The sound of the second ship, it wasn't right, too heavy, too deadly. "They're not here to talk," she whispered. They're here to end him. She grabbed her spear and ran. The elite team moved in formation, silent, swift, confident. Their suits scanned heat, motion, and air quality. But they couldn't scan intention. They didn't know. He was already watching. He had prepared this forest. Every vine, every root, every tree. He moved like a shadow, barefoot and precise. No tech, just nature and instinct. The first soldier didn't even scream. A spike trap fell from a tree, smashing his helmet. The second turned to help, and his leg snapped into a snare that yanked him into thorns. The third fired wildly, plasma bolts, flashing blue across the trees until a stone from nowhere crushed his faceplate. "Ambush!" the leader shouted. "Form circle!" But the human wasn't attacking them directly. He was dividing them, making them panic. One by one he separated them. He used water to reflect light and confuse sensors. He used the forest's smell to cover his own scent. He made them believe they were alone. Then he struck, fast, brutal, and silent. By the time Varela reached the clearing, it was too late. The forest floor was littered with broken gear, splashed mud, and fallen elite warriors. None were dead, but none would fight again. They lay groaning, stunned, trapped, in nets of their own design turned against them. At the center stood him, the human, blood on his chest, hair wet with sweat, a broken spear in one hand, and behind him, one more soldier stood, the leader, biggest of all, full exosuit, energy sword humming. He faced the human. "You think you're strong, human?" he shouted. "You're an animal, a relic." The human said nothing, but his eyes locked onto him, calm. Unblinking, the alien charged. The human didn't move until the last second, then dodged, rolled, and swung a fist into the side of the suit. Sparks flew, metal bent. The elite spun, slashed, missed. Then, crack. The human's knee hit his jaw. The energy sword fell, and with one final punch the leader dropped to his knees. He coughed and laughed. "You should be breeding with queens," he muttered, then collapsed unconscious. Varela stepped forward slowly. She was trembling, not from fear, from awe. He had beaten them all. No armor, no words, just will. She walked up to him, gently touched his arm. He didn't pull away. "You didn't kill them," she said. "You could have, but you didn't." He looked at her, and for the first time, he spoke. One word. Soft, low, clear, enough. She froze. "He could speak?" she whispered. You knew our language?" He nodded once, then looked down at the fallen warriors. "Always watching," he said. "Always listening." Varela's heart raced. He had been silent not because he couldn't speak, but because he was measuring them all, watching who deserved words and who didn't. That night, as they sat by the fire again, Varela asked the question burning in her mind. "Why didn't you kill them?" He looked up at the stars, then said quietly, "Because they don't understand what they were hunting," she whispered. "And what were they hunting?" He looked into her eyes. "Me." The throne room of Telnikar was carved from crystal and shadow. Tall statues of ancient queens watched from the corners. The walls pulsed with blue light, alive with whispers of the past. At the center sat Queen Siraxa, ruler of 5 systems. Her skin shimmered like glass. Her eyes were cold, gold, and full of power. She was not smiling. Her voice echoed like thunder. 8 elite warriors, defeated by a human male. Alone, the council bowed in silence. He is more than prey. He is a perfect specimen. Strong, fast, controlled. One noble spoke nervously. "Shall we send more hunters, Your Majesty?" She raised a hand to silence him. "No more soldiers. This is not about war." Then her tone changed. It became soft, dangerous. "This is about bloodlines." She stood and walked toward a wall. With a gesture, the crystal became a screen. It showed the human standing in the forest, his chest rising with breath, eyes sharp, body tense. A male like that must not be wasted. He must breed. A few council members gasped. It is the law, the Queen continued. When a male defeats a royal force, he is considered prime genetic stock. He must be paired. And I will choose who. She turned, her eyes now locked on one person in the room, Virella. Virella stood frozen, her heart pounding. She began. I didn't request this. The Queen stepped closer. You didn't need to. You've already shared fire with him. You've been marked by his presence. And by tradition, you have first right. Virella's voice shook. He is not a beast to be bred. He is a male, the Queen said firmly. He has no say. Virella's fists clenched. But he saved lives. He showed mercy. He deserves choice. The room grew silent. Later in her chambers, Virella stared out at the stars. Her thoughts raced. He had risked everything to stay free, and now the Empire wanted to take even that. She held the carved stick he gave her. She remembered his word. Enough. That one word said more than 100 speeches. He wasn't just a hunter, he was a man with pain and pride. They won't take him, she whispered. Not like this. The next day, a royal shuttle was sent, not to capture him, but to offer him a choice. At least that's what the Queen said. The shuttle landed in a clearing. Its doors opened. A golden message box floated out and played a voice message. To the human male, you are honored. You are wanted. You may select your partner from the noble houses. You may come willingly, or we will send envoys to retrieve you. This is not a threat. This is law. He watched from a distance. Virella stood beside him, silent, waiting. She could feel the heat in his body, the tension in his muscles. He hated being hunted, even with soft words, even with gold. She turned to him. You don't have to go, but if you do, go with power, not fear. He looked at her, then did something that shook her heart. He reached out and touched her hand. Small touch, but it meant everything. That night he carved something new into the wood near his fire. A hunter, a huntress, and no chains between them. Back in the capital, the Queen waited, but he did not come. Instead, a message arrived, a single symbol, 2 marks side by side, equal. The Queen's lips curled. He refused, but she wasn't angry. She was intrigued. Perhaps he is not just a male. She stepped back to her throne and whispered, perhaps he is the future. The stars above Vorax blinked like quiet watchers in the night. The forest below was calm now. No dropships, no hunters. Only the whisper of wind through tall trees and the soft crackle of a fire. The human sat beside it, silent as always. But something inside him was changing. He had seen death. He had lived alone for years. But now, there was someone sitting beside him. Not as an enemy, not as a hunter, but as a companion. Virella didn't speak either. She sat close, knees to her chest, watching the flames. They had shared food, fire, danger, and silence. But tonight the silence felt different. She looked at him. You could leave now, she said softly. The Queen has stopped sending soldiers. They won't try again. He didn't answer, so she added, you could go anywhere, but you're still here. Why? He looked at her, really looked. Not like prey, not like an alien, but like someone who finally saw her. Then, slowly, his lips moved. Because here, someone saw me. Virella's eyes widened. It was the first time he'd spoken more than one word. You understand me? She whispered. He nodded. I understood long ago. Then why not speak? His gaze dropped to the fire. I waited, he said. For someone worth the words. His voice was rough, deep and quiet, but every word felt heavy. Real. I watched, he continued. They all saw me as a thing, a wild animal, a tool. But you didn't flinch. You listened. Virella didn't know what to say. Her heart thudded in her chest. She felt warmth rising in her eyes. He picked up a stick, drew two figures in the dirt, her and him standing beside each other. Back on Earth, he said. My people were forgotten. A war came. I escaped, crashed here, and I lived like a shadow. He looked up again, eyes glowing in the firelight. But now, I want more. Virella's voice cracked. What do you want? He leaned closer. Not a cage, not a crown, not a queen. He gently placed his hand over hers. I want to stand beside someone, not under them. Tears slipped from Virella's eyes, but she smiled. You already do. The next morning, a council ship hovered over the forest, but not to fight. It carried cameras, reporters, historians, because news had spread. The wild human had spoken, and he refused the Queen's offer. He asked for something no one had asked before. Equality. It shocked the Empire, not because he wanted it, but because he deserved it. His strength, his mind, his choices, everything he did proved one truth. He was not a beast. He was a man. The Queen watched the footage from her tower, the image of him standing beside Virella, hand in hand. She said nothing for a long time. Then finally, she whispered, Perhaps this is what our future needs. Not stronger hunters but stronger hearts. She pressed a button. Erase the law, she said. No more forced pairings. From now on, let the worthy choose each other. Months passed. The forest remained untouched. The human built a shelter, not alone this time. Virella helped. They hunted side by side. They slept beside each other under the stars. And one night, she asked him the question that had waited for so long. What should I call you? He smiled softly. My name is Kaelin. She repeated it like it was sacred. Kaelin. He leaned his forehead to hers. I never said it before, he whispered, because I didn't know who I was anymore. She smiled. You're a hunter, a protector, a friend, and more. Kaelin kissed her forehead gently, and now I am yours.